Good evening. I'd like to call the public power hour to order. We got a lot of people here, and some of y'all may be here for the 5:30 public power hour. Some of y'all might be here early for the 6 o'clock, and some people may just want to be at both, which is we welcome you on both of those. As you see up behind us, for folks who may not know, the public power hour was created to give citizens an opportunity to talk to our council in an informal session on the first Monday of every month at 5:30. And we don't vote on anything at the public power hour. Really, it's just an opportunity for citizens to tell us good things, bad things, concerns, areas we need to be aware of, for us to ask questions if need be. So I would tell you a lot of positive things have happened in the city of North Augusta because it's public power hour. And so I'm very thankful that all y'all are here for whichever one you're for. So this time, the way this works, we have had two people who have sent us an email. And ideally, if you want to ever speak to the public power hour, what I would recommend is that you send an email to Jamie Paul, our city clerk, in advance, because that moves you into first top priority. After our two speakers go through, we finish talking with them, then if there is still time left, if somebody in the audience would like to say something about the public power hour, that'd be great. The other thing about the public power hour is this is anything that's not on the agenda item tonight. So if there's something on the agenda, we're going to talk at 6 o'clock. The public power hour is not your time and place to do that. We'll actually give you public comment period at the city council meeting for that. So with that, our first person is our friend, Mr. Tyler Gallus. And Tyler, I'm going to have you come on up. Everybody knows you, but if you would, state your name and address for the record, please, and then go get it.
And sorry, I'm Tyler Gallus, 71 Center Street, North Augusta, South Carolina.
Okay.
And thank you again, Mayor Williams and Council, for allowing me to speak. I'm Tyler Gallus, President of Friends of North Augusta Animals, or FONA, and we are a nonprofit 501c3 who have been advocating for a new shelter, animal shelter, since 2017. We also have a veterinary care assistance fund for North Augusta community members, provide spay and neuter vouchers, and many of us volunteer our time at the North Augusta Animal Control Facility. But first and foremost, I want to say thank you for amazing 2025. So, I mean, really, we have seen more happen in the last 6 months than any time since FONA was founded. So I attribute this to supportive city leadership, a great relationship with public safety, and our amazing volunteers who give so many of their hours each week without pay. It's tough and emotional work, and I don't know if anybody wants to stand up if you've been at the pound. They're definitely here. So, but on the screen we have some of our accomplishments. Again, achieving 95% save rate at the pound. That gives us the no-kill shelter status. And officially, this is the first year we've had an official volunteer program, new since July 2025. Now the basic veterinary care is being met. All the dogs are getting vaccinated, checked for worms, and there's funding for their sick and wellness visits. We've noticed an increase in the animal control budget for this coming year from $28,000 to $38,000, so that's huge. So we want to thank you for all that. TNR went up from $7,500 to about $10,000. And this last quarter, we piloted getting some spay and neuters done while they're in-house. So that was a matter of public criticism that we were adopting out dogs that weren't fixed. So now that's something that we're being addressed. And I've noticed, just doing my stats, and these are my stats, not official, but intakes are down about 40 or 50% from 2024 to 25. So we will take a little bit of credit of that. FONA does what we call a safety net program to pretty much pet retention services, which includes our community spay and neuter. And we have been trying better to communicate with community members about other options than surrendering dogs at the pound. So I'll go on to the next slide, Jamie. And now what is probably the more challenging topics was kind of our goals for 2026. And I do want to recognize these are bigger matters that need deeper discussion, but these are kind of our formal requests to the city for the coming year. So first and foremost, location and land for a new shelter. And just a formal request for the city to look at city assets for part of that plan. The public safety building and the old golf course have been brought up in discussions, but really the first step in getting funding, I think, is looking at land. I think that is a necessary first step. It's what I've been told. Another request, communication plan. Over the last few months, a lot of times what we do is we hear things at the comments at the end of public meetings. Rather than that, I'd love for Robert or Captain Hayes or somebody to kind of reach out directly, because sometimes I miss them, and to have some conversation versus just hearing a comment at the end of the meeting. I think we can have fewer misunderstandings and maybe actually have some accomplishments before they're announced publicly. Number 3 is probably another sensitive topic, and we're not trying to beat a dead horse, but the service and coverage for the dogs, empowering volunteers to do more. Currently, dogs are still kenneled for about 22, 23 hours on weekends, and a good amount of time during the week. And we do recognize there's a new staff member coming in July of this year. That's huge. That's a huge accomplishment, and we're very grateful for that. But we do believe that there's opportunities to empower the volunteers to do more. And even when a new staff member's starting, they'll have time off. Officer McBride needs time off. We still need to look at ways of having coverage for the best care for the animals. And I've done a little bit of research there. I'll do more. I know that's a complicated conversation, but that is something we'll advocate for this year. Number 4, the microchip stations has been brought up. Very good suggestions. Again, they were brought up at the comments at the last meeting. I do think the Trailhead and Bark Park are good options, so I will follow up with that. I might need some help from the city, but I do think those are good options that were given to us. 5 and 6, I believe Councilman Freitas is going to touch on later this meeting, so I'll leave those. And 7, another goal, expand the spay or neuter process. So FONA did earn a grant this year from the Community Foundation, which is pretty huge. So we really do want to be more of a spay and neuter resource for the community. And I have faith that we can work closely with public safety on doing that at the pound even more. And I know I'm running out of time, so for communication, just a huge thank you to Dennis, David. He spent 30 minutes with me this week. I talked to Robert 90 minutes. I really think, and Captain Hayes, we touch base every few weeks. I think the direct communication from the city has really been helpful, and I appreciate all their time. David was at dinner with his wife when they talked to me, so they're stepping out and they're making time for us. And I encourage the community to treat them as humans and citizens and reach out to them one-on-one with their concerns. It makes a huge difference. But I'm still going to keep advocating for expanding the vision for the animal shelter. It's more than just getting dogs and cats off the street. If done right, it can be a true community asset. I know the city prioritizes tourism. That's why I'm here in town, because it's a dog-friendly city. I think other young professionals will come here if we have a nice facility. We built small business partnerships. We promote small businesses because of what we do there. And it's a great opportunity for youth and family engagement. So I think having the city step back and really seeing what we can do for it versus it just solving the single problem of getting dogs off the street, there's really a lot we can do with it if done right. I want to mention the Nancy Carson Library as an example. I recently had the pleasure of attending a Friends of Nancy Carson Library event there. Just as an example of a county and public partnership.
Leaning up against that chair.
I mean, what I hear from them is they kind of had some struggles we did where it was totally put on the committee at the start to.
Wait, was that Jamie? Can you adjust it? Because if it goes all the way, it's too bright. You need to bring it down a little bit. Can we bring it in just a tad? Yeah. We do.
We're gonna.
Sorry, Tom. I'm not cutting you off. I promise.
No,
All right, go ahead. Okay,
we'll break out some glow sticks and.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. Okay,
like
go
a
ahead. I'm
gremlin
sorry.
in the
I
bright
apologize.
Well, I did have the pleasure of going to Nancy Carson Library, and I just need to go there more. It's a beautiful facility. They really invested a lot into that. but hearing the challenges they faced decades ago, I feel like we're in a similar spot. And they struggled getting city and government commitment doing what they wanted to do. But if we can see what they have now, and even most recently, the renovations they're doing next year, it's a combination of a private, county, and city partnership, what they're about to start there. But I encourage you all to go out there. I think it's a great facility. And now we can see what it is now, but they used to be in Posey Funeral Home, and I guess they had a different place beyond that. So I really think that's a good model for what we can achieve. And we see what they have now, but with the right city and county help, I think we can really achieve something nice. I meant to do a count of volunteer hours. I can't speak more on the behalf of volunteers. I mean, it's in the hundreds or probably close to 1,000. I do want to continue to get, and I will publish that on our Facebook page, but a huge thank you to all our volunteers. I mean, we're up to probably 1,000 plus hours that we spent there, unpaid, hard emotional work at the North Augusta Pound. But in summary, Bona and I will continue to advocate for the raising of standards, adoption of best practices, and expanding the vision for the city of North Augusta. And we're committed to doing that in a level-headed, solution-oriented way. And I will do my best to both share accomplishments as well as the existing challenges that are not up to par yet. Thank you.
Tyler, thank you very much. We've said it before. You have amazing passion and very thankful for that. And, you know, when you look at some of the numbers like the 95% save rate, we've said it here before, that's because of one thing. That's because of you and Phone and all the volunteers. Y'all have made that happen, and we're very appreciative of that. Thank you for coming here. You know, you gave me a couple of things. I was not aware that y'all had officially started the volunteer program in July. That's good to know. Thank you. The 1,000 plus hours is very impressive. Also, was not aware of the grant y'all got concerning the Be More the resource for the spray neuter process. That's fantastic. So that's good stuff.
Yeah, the grant, we got $15,000 grant, and we're splitting that up between spay and neuter and also heartworm treatment. So, I mean, an average spay and neuter is out $500. So it sounds like a lot of money, but really but we've had excellent support. Our Rock for Rescue, also $9,000 of that was set aside for spay and neuter. So we're in a very strong position to help out with that this year. Yeah. So I am excited that we're not going to be scrambling. We still, I mean, $9,000 sounds like a lot, but that's really 18 spay and neuter. So it's just like, it sounds big numbers, but we will have to continue to fundraise, but at least we're starting out 2026 strong.
That's awesome. Well, listen, just keep doing what you're doing. I'm very proud of you. Thank you, Tyler. Appreciate your support, buddy.
I think the spay neuter, the more it goes up, the more you're going to see the intake drop, and that's something that's really amazing.
That's good. All right, Mr. Bill Jackson, come on down, sir. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Change my glasses.
That's okay. Put your sunglasses on if you need to.
My name is William Jackson. I live at 444 Crossroads Drive in North Augusta. I wanted to talk about nonpartisan local elections. And basically that's where there is no official party affiliations. They were mentioned when we were discussing election dates and got a favorable response from the gallery. And since we're doing second readings for local elections tonight, it seemed a good time to revisit them, maybe to get a head start for next time. One concern with moving the election dates to November was the effect of straight ticket voting, helping either Republicans or Democrats. The party election, nonpartisan elections would negate that concern. Voters would have to extend more effort learning about their candidates, and candidates would have to work harder earning our vote. If a vote was taken today, there's a chance it would not pass. And not because it's a bad idea. We are not reinventing the wheel here. Most South Carolina cities are already doing it, and they can't all be wrong. One reason for not passing could be, don't fix what ain't broke. And if something is broke, we can fix it from within. I think there's another reason that is more telling. North Augusta has a legacied, some say an entrenched political system that goes back over half a century. It is called Republican, but I believe that is less an ideology and more a descriptive of the status quo, where people are groomed to perpetuate the status quo. This has led to a certain stagnation in both the candidates' efforts and the public's involvement. Nonpartisan can change that. This is about transparency, participation, and representation. You have wanted more public involvement, and you've gotten it, here in person and on social media. Nonpartisan can offer more. Please take us seriously, or we are not chatter, we are voters. If there's a silent majority that makes more sense to the city than we do, they need to come forward and convince us also, if they want our understanding and cooperation. Nonpartisan will help. Finally, the people of North Augusta elect our public servants to make decisions with us, not to make our decisions for us, such as trying to decide what's in our best interest. Nonpartisan local elections can be the start of that transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Thank you.
Get the green dot. All right, it's 5:48, so we probably have time if there's one person, if you have somebody that would want to talk to city council about something. Again, we had a lot of people coming in late. This is not about anything on the 6 o'clock agenda. So if it's something else, then I think I've got time looking for one person to give you 5 minutes before we have to break before we go in our city council meeting. So, yes, sir. Come on down. I know this guy. I know. Yeah. As you've heard the other two, add name and address, please.
It's Chris Vandestow, 174 Swallow Lake Drive, North Augusta, South Carolina.
And you're real tall, so you're gonna have to bend down to talk. So everybody, we live stream this. All right, Chris, go get him.
So I wanted to just bring up something that had been passed in planning, and
That's it. Speaking about just like that.
I wanted to bring up something that was passed in the Planning Commission. I'm on the board of our HOA in Licks and Streams.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that neighborhood is in the North Augusta city limits.
Yeah.
There's a plan to put townhomes into our neighborhood, and that's been against the plan and the covenants of our neighborhood since 1992. There's another board member here with us, the president of our board. Mr. Welsh, the gentleman who's actually doing this development, he didn't even speak to us about it. He's just kind of shoehorning them in there. The whole entire neighborhood is made up of single-family homes. We don't have any townhomes there. In order to get this done, he's going to be putting single-family homes next to townhomes. People who've been living there for 20 years and people who've been living there for 2 months are buying homes, and they have no idea that they're going to be next to 79 townhomes in North Augusta. This all is contingent upon Aiken giving the ability for them to pull a road into our neighborhood that should be a house. So you have two neighbors of ours that are in essence going to have corner lots going forward. And it's very concerning to our group, and we've probably had about 600 people out of 605 come and just talk to us and say, this is an issue, and we really need to understand more about this. Again, this is something that was done very quickly. Our board didn't even know about it, so we're kind of on our heels on this. So I just wanted to bring it to the council's attention. I understand that the planning commission is made up of volunteers that are put forth by you all. Spoken to Tommy Paradise about this at length, trying to understand more about where we can take public safety into consideration. Right now, all of that traffic would be coming down one road, and they'd be snaking through our neighborhood, and they're not even going to be part of our HOA. So they're going to be 79 townhomes inside of our neighborhood, utilizing all of our amenities and also having a situation where we have non-residents on HOA land, which is a whole nother ball of wax. So just wanted to come forth before you guys and just bring this to your attention. We'll be talking more about it with the group, but I wanted to just have about 5 minutes to discuss this.
Just give one little clarification, Chris. Not all of Lakes and Streams is in the city. Are you talking about the section you're talking about is in the city limits?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so I live in the city limits, about 40 houses in the city limits. This piece of property would be in the city limits as well. So it's townhomes in a neighborhood full of single-family dwelling, detached dwellings. Thank you very much. I really
Thank you,
appreciate
Chris.
your time.
Appreciate it. I'll look into that. Appreciate it, buddy. All right, good enough. All right, we are going to close out the public power hour, and we'll be getting started right back at 6 o'clock. Thanks for all being here. Good evening. I'd like to call the City of North Augusta City Council meeting for February the 2nd, 2026 to order. It's great to see everybody here. Thank you all for being here. Okay, you are welcome to join me in prayer. Dear God, I ask your guidance as we discuss important matters of the city tonight. Ask that you give each council member's discernment as we vote on important issues for our community. And finally, ask for your continued blessings for this council and this city. Amen. If you are able, please stand for a pledge of allegiance. Okay, item 3, roll call, starting from my left.
John Pelak,
Robert Freitas,
Britton Williams.
Kevin Toole,
David Buck, Dennis Briatico.
Okay, item 4, approval of minutes. Are there any corrections, deletions, or additions to the regular city council meeting minutes of January the 5th, 2026? The special call city council meeting minutes of January 26, 2026, or the study session minutes of January 26, 2006? Hearing none, they stand approved as distributed. All right, item 5. This is, I'm going to ask if Judge Belton Weeks and his family would like to meet me and Kelly Zier down in front of the dais, please. Come on up here, Bill. Now, I'm hoping none of y'all have had to be in front of Judge Weeks, so you may not know about him, so I'm going to tell you a little bit. And then we're going to, hey, how are you doing? Yeah, so good to see you. Hey. Hey, young lady. How are you? That's okay. She's holding something good. All right. Judge Weeks has been an associate judge for the city of North Augusta. Now catch this. Since November the 7th, 1983. That slap about 42 years. That's amazing. I'm assuming Mayor Tom Green. I had to be, okay. He has always shown an appreciation for doing the right thing for the city. And I will tell you, if you talk to folks about Judge Weeks, what you hear will be a statement that centers around this. He has always been fair, impartial, and has always listened to both sides while he's on the bench. And although he has an easygoing manner with him, he is very much, will always listen before rendering any kind of decision. And, you know, he's he's a judge that we've had a lot of cases, and he is always willing to fill in on a normal day when need to. And as far as a court division, as far as our public safety, we're going to miss you, Judge. We're very thankful for what you do and what you've done. I mean, you have been truly a faithful servant. And so thankful. And I've asked Kelly, didn't ask Kelly Zier, but Kelly wanted Kelly Zier, who's our city attorney, probably knows you the longest of anybody up here right now. And I told Kelly, we got some young folks, so keep it clean. But I would like, Kelly, if you wanted to share a few words about your friend Belton Weeks.
Well, Belton, obviously, you've been a great help to the city for a long time. When Belton first started this, probably it wasn't a real involved, regular job. And as it evolved over the years, he has held, you end up about 3 days a week over the last few years, haven't you? 2 days a week at least, but whenever we needed it. And I don't know how much you all are aware of what a municipal judge does. And I'd say he probably has a much more difficult job than a lot of the circuit court judges. A circuit court judge, the people that come before that judge, they've talked to their lawyer. They know the way the system works, and they've already been told generally how it's going to happen and what takes place. Belton's job in municipal court, the vast majority of the people that come before him, they don't have lawyers. So it's his job not only to make a determination on their case, but try to explain to them how the system works, and this is the way it is, and sometimes that's very difficult. Clients who have attorneys have been told, now this is the way it works, and this is when it's over. And that's when the judge makes a decision, and there's no more arguing at that time with that judge. If you got an issue with it, there's always an appeal. Well, he's got a lot of people that doesn't happen. He makes his decision, and there's still many times a lot of people that still have some other things to say, and he has to do his best to satisfy them, make them happy, and get the court through a good day. And Belton's had an ability to do that over the years. He's helped the city. He's helped an awful lot of defendants that have come before the court to understand and to walk away feeling like, whether they were found guilty or not guilty, but to walk away feeling like, you know, I got a good shake in there. I was not run over. It just didn't work out the way I wanted it. And many times it has worked out the way he wanted it, because the judge works with public safety, works with them every day, but he works with the law, he works with the facts, and that's what he's always done. And I think that by Belton doing this for the city over these years, he has helped the city immensely, and I appreciate working with you myself. Thank you.
I'm gonna let you say something in just a minute, but there's a plaque that says Judge Belton E. Weeks, in appreciation for your dedication and service, November 7th, 1983 to January 4th, 2026, from Mayor and City Council, City of North Augusta, South Carolina. So there you go, sir. And love to have you share anything.
Well, it's been a good experience. I've learned a lot, and it certainly gives you a different perspective on the practice of law.
City Council, I'd like y'all to come forward and anyway, Judge, thank you again. Appreciate it. Everything, my friend. I really, you're a good man. Good man. All right. All right, we are now moving into old business. Item 6, planning and development. Ordinance number 2026-01 to amend the zoning map of the city of North Augusta, South Carolina by rezoning plus or minus 4.93 acres of land owned by Himbell McDonough HFT LLC. Tax parcel number 007-11-05-049, 007-11-05-165, and 007-12-12-010 from PD Plan Development to GC General Commercial. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading?
I'll move.
All right, so Mr. Freitas, thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Buck and Councilman Kevin Toole, this is our second reading. You'll recuse yourself on this. Okay. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
So, Mr. Mayor and Council, nothing new to add on this, but just as a reminder for you and for the folks in the audience today, this has to do with a series of parcels of land that are near the intersection of East Martintown Road and Knox Avenue to allow for commercial development at that site. Makes it easier to do that. Planning Commission's already heard this item. You've got this in study session and have already voted for through the first reading, and so this is your second vote on this item.
And just to give people a reference, this is a Crossroads Market. Right there to the left of Publix, if you know where that is. Okay. Any questions for Ms. Clifford? Okay. Are there any citizen comments? Okay. Any council discussion? All right. Hearing none, I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous, 5-1. Okay. Item 7. Election ordinance number 2026-02 to amend section 10-2 of the current code of laws for the city of North Augusta. Specifically, the amendment will add nomination and election schedule. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading?
So moved.
All right, so Mr. Toole, second. Was that Mr. Bradico? Okay. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
For Mayor and Council and for citizens in the audience today and those watching at home, you actually have 3 separate ordinances that'll be under consideration this evening. These all apply to the concept of moving the city municipal elections into the federal election cycle in an even year. And so you have a number of different actions that have to occur in each of these ordinances. So the first of which here allows you to see what the election schedule is going to be, timelines for party nominations, runoffs, and so forth, some of the technical timelines associated with running the election, which will have assistance from the county. And I will defer to our city clerk, Jenny Paul, if there's anything else I'm missing on this specific item.
Just wanted to let you know the updated version with the changes that have been talked with Aiken County elections registration have been provided for you. Any questions on that?
Also, Mr. Mayor, for the election ordinances, the state requires there's a minimum of 6 days between readings of the ordinance. So you cannot do a special call and 48 hours later do another meeting. So ultimately, this meets the state requirements. This is 7 days between readings of the ordinance. So you're meeting the state requirement to have that separation between the reading of the ordinances.
I do want to add that I believe for the motion, we would just accept with the changes that have been provided for you this evening, just for clarification.
Just for council, as you see from the what's been racked out, the red lines out, we will not be having the continue to have the municipal election commission. So, well, I just wanted to, you see the red line markings? Okay. And what that is stating is for us to be going this route, we will no longer have a municipal election commission in the city of North Augusta. That's what the red lines from what we had our study session. So are there any questions for Mr. Clifford?
Councilman, feel like if I may as well, one of the reasons why that the city is proposing to do this way is that if the city certifies its own election in conjunction with the county on their election, what it would require is a citizen to go into the ballot box, so to speak, and have to submit 2 separate ballots on 2 different machines, which would ultimately be very confusing for, I think, most folks. And so ultimately what this allows is the county to certify the election and that the city ballot is embedded in the overall ballot that you would see before you as a citizen.
Okay. All right. Are there any citizen comments? Okay. Any council discussion? All right. Hearing none, I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. We're now item 8, ordinance number 2026-03 to amend section 2-21B of the current code of laws of the city of North Augusta. Specifically, the amendment will change the date the newly elected officers take office. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading?
So moved.
All right,
Second.
Mr. Tool, that was Mr. Bradico, I believe. Okay. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
So, Mr. Mayor, Council, under citizens, what this allows the city council to do is, much like the federal cycle, as this election would be in November of an even year, it would allow for the city council members that are elected or re-elected to take office in January of the following year. So the way that works now is you have your city election in the spring, and then the very next city council meeting that, if it's not contested and has runoff, so the very first council meeting afterwards is where that council member is seated. This way, you're on the federal cycle, so much like the federal cycle, you'll start office, whoever's elected or re-elected, in January, immediately following the November election.
Any questions for Ms. Clifford? All right, any citizen comments? Okay, any council discussion? Okay, very good. All right, hearing none, I'm gonna ask for a vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. All right, item 9, election ordinance number 2026-04 to partner with the Aiken County Board of Registration Elections to conduct the 2026 City of North Augusta Municipal General Election. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on second reading?
So moved.
Mr. Tool, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Bradica, y'all tag teaming tonight. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
Deferring to our city clerk, Jamie Paul, if necessary, but this is really the mechanics of how the city is going to partner with the membership of Aiken County's election commission to be able to run the election. There's a financial component to that. We have to pay for the elections and for the rental of the machines and for paying for poll workers and those kinds of things. But that's all stipulated here inside the updated agreement you have with Aiken County.
So basically, the two main parts of this is we are basically authorizing our city administrator to work with the Aiken County Board of Registration Elections to work out logistic details of what that looks like. We are also putting in $25,000 funding to be able to pay for, and that's probably a little bit above what that cost will be. So those are the two main things you saw on here from my study session. Okay, any questions from Ms. Clifford? All right, are there any citizen comments? Okay, council discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'm gonna ask for a vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous again. Thank you. All right, new business. Let's see, this is item 10, planning development, ordinance number 2026-05 to amend the zoning map of the city of North Augusta, South Carolina by rezoning plus or minus 30.37 acres of land owned by True North Church, tax parcel number 002-08-03-006 and 002-08-03-028 from small lot residential R7 and office commercial the OC to an office commercial OC to general commercial GC. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on first reading? Mr. Freitas, okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Toole. Anything you'd like to share about this, Mr. Clifford or Tommy?
So for the mayor and council, and again, I know the applicant is here in the room and may or may not make a statement about what they're intending to do, but I always like to start with what you're trying to achieve before you get into the kind of the mechanisms there. And what True North Church is proposing to do is have an addition on the backside of one of their buildings to add classroom space, for children. So ultimately, as they started looking at that and seeing what that was going to look like from a build-out perspective, the number of the parcels that True North owns and that it sits on is zoned in different ways. And in order for this to be conforming, for the church to be able to do this add to expand, it really needed to be on the same type of zoning, and so Tommy can certainly talk about that in detail if asked. But ultimately, by doing this and converting R7 and OC office commercial to general commercial, puts all of their properties in the same zoning classification and allows them to move forward with putting this bump out on the back of one of their buildings.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Clifford?
Has there been any feedback from the neighborhood behind True North?
So at the Planning Commission, there were a number of folks that came and spoke, and so one, I can't, by memory tell you exactly what they said. It sounded like there were two residents that were not excited about this prospect. One of them had, I believe, a question about traffic, and another person had a question about just access to the road and the growth of that area.
Thank you.
But those comments are in public record from the Planning Commission.
Any other questions, Mr. Clifford? Okay. Are there any citizen comments? Okay. Any council discussion? Okay. Hearing none, I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you. All right, item 11, Planning Development Ordinance Number 2026-06 to approve the revised general development plan of the 195.39 plus or minus acre Hammond's Ferry Plan development located on the west side of George Avenue between the North Augusta Greenway and the Savannah River. Revisions relating solely to Phase B of such revised general development plan. Do I have a motion to approve this ordinance on first reading?
Motion to table.
Second.
Okay, motion table was that Mr. Toole?
Yep.
And the second, I don't
Greatest.
know, about four of y'all jumped at one time, so I don't know, I won't say, I think I heard Buck on that. So, all right, when something is tabled, there's no discussion, so I'll immediately ask for a vote. All in favor of tabling this ordinance on first reading, raise your hand. And that is unanimous. Okay. Item 12, Administration, Resolution Number 2026-05, authorizing the city to purchase real estate located within Riverside Village, specifically parcels B and D. Do I have a motion to approve this
Motion to
resolution?
table.
Second.
Okay, let's see, Mr. Briatico is a first. Mr.
Second.
Toole is a second.
Got third.
Freitas is a third. All right, there's no discussion when something is tabled. We immediately will ask for a vote. All in favor? That's unanimous. I'm getting there. All right, we're going to move into item 13, Administration, Resolution Number 2026-06. Bear with me. I'm too organized, that's my problem.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I got it right here. I just covered up a bunch of stuff. Anyway, ordinance, item number 13, resolution number 2026-06, authorizing the city as the owner of Unit 2 of the clubhouse at Riverside Village condominium horizontal property regime to provide its written consent to allow the owner of Unit 4 of the clubhouse at Riverside Village condominium horizontal property regime to convert apartments into such Unit 4 to condominium units. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Toole, Mr.
Second.
Toole first. Second is Mr. Freitas. Thank you. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
Yes, Mr. Mayor and Council. First, I'd like to ask our IT folks to go ahead and put up the backup slide under Resolution 2026-06. Perfect. Just hold that right there. So I know there's some language inside the resolution that talks about units 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I wanted at least for you and for our citizens to see what that actually means and what that space is. And so this is a multi-owner building, and the city owns what they call the clubhouse unit, Unit 2, and that's at the floor level there at the stadium. So that's where the locker rooms are for the Augusta Green Jackets. And that is listed there on that floor. And there are 3 other units that are part of that building that are all privately owned, all by the same owner. And so starting at the bottom, you've got the parking garage, which you can't see from that rendering, but the entrance is on the back side of the building. So below the building, there are 44 parking spaces that are covered in the garage. Unit 2 is obviously the city. Unit 3 is a shell office space, which has not been developed yet. That's about 14,000 square foot, as listed there in parcel A. And then you have the residential component, unit 4, which are apartments there. And so what we have is the applicant has requested that the city, as a partial owner of the building, allow them to move forward with the changeover from apartments to condominiums. And so ultimately, what this would do is drop somewhat the ratio of apartments in Riverside Village to owner occupied. There's a certain amount of owner occupied that has to be held by the bylaws in there. I think the applicant can certainly talk that through if you have questions on what they're seeking to do and what their long-term intent is. But essentially what's before you is a resolution authorizing the city administrator on your behalf to sign an agreement allowing the apartments to be converted to condominiums.
Any questions from Mr. Clifford?
I have one. Mr. Clifford, does this allow the condominium to be purchased by someone and then rented out by them?
There's a certain ratio that would be allowed. I will defer to the applicant. And, there's stacks of papers this big about that. But I think my understanding is it requires at least a simple majority of owner occupied in the building itself, meaning that you can't have every owner then in turn rent them out. That does not include masters, so that is, I believe, an exemption. People tend to rent out their homes for masters if they can. But as far as whether you're talking about somebody would turn that into an Airbnb or some other kind of short-term rental facility.
Yeah, they can't do that.
Yeah.
They
So
can't.
in other words, you cannot buy the condominium
And
and then
Airbnb, you cannot.
I can't buy it and rent it to you.
No, you cannot.
Okay. Is that your understanding as well?
I
Mr.
think
Clifford?
if you have specific questions, the applicant can certainly give you some additional information.
Mayor and council.
If you would state your name and address for the record, Kelly.
Yep, I'm Kelly Mobley. My address is 1003 West Avenue in North Augusta, and I serve as general counsel to Biofuel Riverside, the owner of Unit 1, 3, and 4, as well as their parent, U.S. counsel to their parent company, OU Biofuel. As to your question, John, Mr. Phelan, about rentals will be allowed in the units, but we put restrictions in the master deed so that we would qualify for FHA and VA financing and meet those guidelines. Now, that only comes into play if you have an applicant who is looking to get their mortgage with SRP or First Citizens or whoever, and they want to qualify under one of those government-backed programs, and then that financial institution will make a determination of whether or not this project qualifies under those guidelines, just because if it doesn't meet that less than 50% ratio of owner occupied, it doesn't mean they can't get long-term single-family financing in there. They may just not qualify under one of those programs. But will rentals be available in the building? They absolutely will. This is a complete condo conversion of the 32 apartment units into single-family units available for purchase, either investment purchase or owner-occupied purchase.
Any other questions? I hadn't gotten to that yet. Just any questions for him?
Good.
All right, any other questions at this point for Ms. Clifford or? Okay, thank you, sir. All right, I'm open up for any citizen comments. If so, yes, ma'am, come on down. If you got to come on down and state your name and address for the record. Ma'am, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. I hate that. Our city clerk will get very mad at me. You got your tennis shoes on, you're good. Yeah. If you would, just state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Michelle Wilson, 1901 Burns Road, North Augusta.
Thank you, Michelle.
I guess the question remains, even though they obtain financing independently, are they going to be available for Airbnb rental? And so it was never stated that, yes, we're going to allow Airbnb rental from individual homeowners or not. So what are the restrictions?
Yeah, the way I was told, you cannot Airbnb there.
She asked if they could rent those to Airbnb, and what we have been saying is you cannot do that. You have a restriction where you cannot rent.
That's correct, you cannot.
So he said that there would be a 6-month rental requirement except for masters.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Michelle. Are there any other citizen comments? Okay. Council discussion. Anything with ownership is good, right? All right, hearing none, I'm gonna ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Very good. Thank you. Okay, we are now at item number 14, resolution number 2026-07, establishing fishing, access, and other usage rules in the city of North Augusta public waterways. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Mr. Briatico, Mr. Freitas, a second. Thank you. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
Mr. Mayor and Council, I think as the staff worked through this and presented to the City Council for consideration, there's a Brook Pond guide that was originally published several years ago that a lot of the rules that are here are listed. So I'll just very briefly cover this here so that people can hear. So it allows for fishing and boating within public waterways of the city of North Augusta, permitted only in the Savannah River, the West Pond at Brick Pond Park, Briggs Pond, and Buford Pond. It says that you're required to have a valid fishing license issued by the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. The city issued fishing permits are no longer required. It really wasn't a revenue source for us, and it was just kind of confusing for people as they were doing what they were doing. It says fishing in city ponds shall be permitted only between nautical sunrise and nautical sunset. So that's 30 minutes prior and 30 minutes post sunrise and sunset. Those times set by the National Weather Service. Non-motorized watercraft are permitted for fishing. Small electric trolling motors are permitted as an exception. So, but no motorized, gas engines inside there. Really kind of envisioned for small trolling engines and kayaks and those kinds of things inside the ponds. Says you got to wear, personal flotation devices if you're going to be on a watercraft. All fishing in the city ponds are going to be defined as catch and release only. And then lists out a number of non-game fishing devices as defined by SCDNR, including but not limited to traps, trot lines, jugs, nets, and spears are prohibited in those city ponds. So those are the updates to the resolution that's before you.
Very good. Are there any questions for Ms. Clifford? Are there any citizen comments? Yes, sir.
David Dean, 132 Howell Drive, North Augusta, South Carolina.
2 weeks in a row, David.
Yeah, well, I wasn't even going to come down here, but when y'all said just daytime fishing.
2026 is your year, buddy. I'm excited to see you again. Thank you, sir.
We'd like to fish at night too. I mean, some people work. Thank God I ain't, but we like to fish at night too. And the catch and release I can understand, but the state is a 12-inch limit. And the state's a 12-inch limit. And I understand, I don't keep all the fish neither, but if I did catch a trophy, and there's trophy fish in that ponds, I fished them. I would like to get it mounted. And I know you can do replicants, but you take a 5-year-old kid down there and he catches a trophy, it's going to be hard for that little kid to throw it back. And that's what it's all about. Me personally, I probably wouldn't keep a trophy, but I'm looking at the grandkids and the childs. And as far as night fishing, I don't see nothing different in daytime and nighttime. As long as you got your safety devices on and you're within the law, you can fish at the lake, you can fish at the river, like they fish the ponds. Thank you.
All right, thank you, David. Any other public comments? Citizen comments? Nick, come on up, sir.
Nick Hobbs, 207 Springwood Court, North Augusta, South Carolina. First of all, I want to say thank you. Hope this isn't too far in advance, but I want to thank City Council in advance for restoring fishing access to the West Pond. This decision recognizes that responsible recreation use and environmental stewardship can coexist, and the community can be trusted to enjoy and care for this resource. As fishing is restored, some basic proven safeguards or guardrails should be put in place to ensure West Pond remains clean, safe, and sustainable. I don't have my glasses on, so sorry about that. These are standard best practices all across South Carolina. They include, we need to put some trash receptacles placed throughout the park, particularly in the high-use areas. I think that'll be a good idea. And some signage that clearly encourages visitors to use to properly dispose of their trash. I think installation of fishing line recycling tubes to protect the water and the wildlife. That would be a wonderful thing. And I even told Dennis that I would donate the materials and whatnot to put that together if y'all are okay with that. Okay. And I do think that a clearly defined catch and release policy to preserve the fishing in that pond would be great, but that's something that we should discuss at another time. You know, maybe when we can update the rules and regs of the pond. I mean, I hope that's something we can do in the future. I also want to highlight an important opportunity for the city. I talked to Senator Tom Young and Bill Hickson, and I've been told that South Carolina DNR water recreation funds are available, and we can use those to help with some of the improvements. One of those, which is very important, would be a new boat landing. Bill Hickson and Senator Young told me that they would support us in helping us get the funding, because the boat landing that we did have, the public access was eliminated by the development over there. So if we could do that, that'd be great. And I mean, I just wanted to say thanks. I mean, one thing I wanted to just mention is that I know some people here think that maybe social media doesn't really reach a lot of audience, but it works. It helped with this ordeal. So I just want to say thank you guys for listening, and I appreciate all of y'all.
All right, great. Thank you, Nick. Any other citizen comments? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Tanya Bonatatabas, 328 Riverfront Drive. Sorry, I crossed the river. I'm with Savannah Riverkeeper. First and foremost, thank you for thinking and taking into consideration the children in your community. One of the number one things that I think, are dealing with when it comes to our community is the lack of access. And many people can't afford a boat. And in fact, I have a boat, is one of my work boats with Riverkeeper, yet my son learned to fish on those ponds. Those are the ponds he walked to. Those are the ones that he learned. In fact, he even got in trouble with DNR for messing around with the alligator one day. But, you know, my point is that it's really important that children can connect to these waterways, and retaining that kind of relationship will help you in the long run. The other thing is, I don't actually believe people should be able to catch those fish. That is a stormwater pond, which means that you're going to have heavy metals and other things that are washing in, which means you're likely to have those in the fish. I don't want anybody eating those fish. They shouldn't, honestly. But the other thing, I have not read through completely, but the one thing I would be careful of is making sure that you've not limited access for canoeing and kayaking on waterways by limiting the way that you've written your restrictions. I think you've said you can't have a boat on a waterway in North Augusta except for the river and the pond. If I'm incorrect, I apologize, but I would just make sure that, like Stevens Creek or any of the big creeks that are navigable waterways, legally people can kayak on those. So, but other than that, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to consider the children and the people of North Augusta. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any other citizen comments? Okay. Any council discussion? Yes, sir.
I'm real quick to put people in the penalty box when I think someone is doing wrong. So let me take this opportunity to put myself in the penalty box. When it came to this, there was definitely, I feel like, a breakdown of communication. And I know what that feels like because as a pound volunteer, I got a phone call one day that we lost our rights to take animals off site. And that happened without much discussion. And I feel like that was unfortunate. And at the time, I pushed forward from this dais that we have more discussion when we're going to do something that affects a group of individuals. After reaching out to Nick and a lot of the fishing community and anglers, I feel like that we made a mistake. But we've also awoken a group of people that are going to help us keep the brick ponds nicer. They're going to be more vigilant down there, and they're going to be watching. And when it comes to what's best for the brick ponds and what's best for North Augusta, I think the preservation community and the conservation community have discovered one another, and they're going to work together hand in hand. So even though this was a bad thing to begin with, how it handled, how it was rushed through, how the process broke down, I think it led us to a good place. And I am glad to overturn this and give these people back the right to fish, because I know what it feels like to have your right to do something suddenly taken away. So I'm glad to give them the right back. I think we should look at making the recommended improvements, especially the monofilament tubes. We definitely want to make that dock on West Pond more handicap accessible. I'll put in an apron and maybe a hinge plate so we can get wheelchairs on and off of it. I would like to refurbish that dock and dedicate it to the North Augusta High School class of 22 for the child that they lost down there that a lot of people in this community remember. That's all I got. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Ms. Pelak.
I feel like I should respond to Mr. Dean's questions. I think those are very, very good points. As far as fishing late at night, to me, it's part of the extension of the Greenway, this Brick Pond Park, and the hours of use of the Greenway are also those hours. Actually, it may be sun up to sundown, I believe, is a Greenway. So actually doing the nautical sunrise and sunset is an actual extension of those two. So I think in the best interest of everybody that those hours would be appropriate rather than having people fish there all night. So unfortunately, I wouldn't support that. And as far as the catch and release, one advantage of catching and releasing is the size of your fish can grow the more times you tell the story. So if you do catch a 5-pounder or a 6-pound bass out of there, the next time you tell the story, it can be 7 or 8 pound. And I do believe that having large fish in the pond is good for the fish because they do feed on some of the smaller fish. Without those foraging fish, the smaller fish can overtake them. And I would defer to DNR on that, or perhaps Nick, you know more about that. But having large fish in a contained area, I believe, is good for the system. Yeah. Yeah. There is no doubt that catching a large fish is a huge excitement for the kids, and I also support getting fishing back in the West Pond as well. So I think overall, I think we're absolutely headed in the right direction. But I didn't want your comments to go unaddressed.
All right, Ms. Freitas.
So I did some research on the monofilament containers, receptacles. I know South Carolina Palmetto Project has a program with SCDNR where they will actually come out and install and provide the containers for us. So had a conversation with Representative Hickson about that, and he's all on board for helping us with that. So.
Okay. Yeah, so Yeah, it's fun. It's interesting. I'd gotten an email from a citizen who had shared a concern about an animal that had gotten caught up in the net. And I forwarded that to our city administrator to just get our folks' opinion on it. And basically, we came back and said, well, if that's what council's interested in, we don't see an issue with that. And then we had our city council meeting, and Mr. Felak and I think Councilman Toole were pretty adamant that we ought to have fishing. And the takeaway from this for me was Nick Hobbs is a perfect example of, yes, citizens can make a difference, because Nick went about it the right way. He had calming conversations. Well, calming as far as the way Nick is, but his question to me was, Mayor, I'm not really sure how things work. I feel like I wasn't aware of this, whatever. So we talked through. So I will tell you, Nick Hobbs has learned that we have city council meetings on 1st and 3rd and 2nd and 4th, what our study sessions do, what our city council meetings do, what we live stream, how at 5 o'clock, Friday afternoon after work, we post our agenda every week. So he knows that now. But he did start a Facebook page basically for that. And, he kept it civil. He didn't put false information out there. He was trying to educate people, and he did a wonderful job educating us. And the reality is, I think Dennis and I would agree that, when we went and asked for public comment, there were crickets, no pun intended, but nature, but nobody was here. So I didn't even realize anybody really cared about it, to be honest with you. And I went to our City of North Augusta Brick Pond guide and started reading about why, when the city did the brick ponds, that fishing was an integral part of the West Pond. And then with Nick's leadership. So anyway, yes, that was definitely a decision that I regret that I made, and I'm glad to be voting for this. But again, I just want to say there's a way you go about things, and Nick, you did a wonderful job with this. And I tell you what, I think you find out the DNR funds is important. I like the idea. If we need to do the boat landing, I think I mentioned this. I think the Brick Pond Committee can be a big resource for you. As a matter of fact, maybe that becomes, maybe we can, and I'm just spitballing here, so I'm just thinking out loud. Maybe we can have a committee. Brian Winsing about to have a heart attack here. Maybe we can have a subcommittee of centered around the fishing of the fish ponds off Brick Pond, because that committee is about educating. And so anyway, I think there's a lot of opportunities, and we got to think through that. But I think you got a council that agrees with that. So at that point, anybody say well done. So at this point, I'm on Mr. Buck.
Yeah, but I'll say one thing else. I talked to Nick as well in depth, and that's how things get done. I appreciate your conversation, sir.
Yep. All right. So if there's no other council discussion, I'm going to ask for vote. All in favor? And that's unanimous. All right. Very good. Item 15, administration, resolution number 2026-08, authorizing extensions of awarded allocation of the Accommodations Tax Advisory Committee for the disbursement of revenues from the accommodations tax year 2023 to 2024, and authorizing unused allocations of the accommodation tax year 2022 to 2023, funds to be added and redistributed to the accommodation tax year 2024-2025 accommodation tax funding program. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Mr. Toole, second, Mr. Freitas, thank you. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford or Jamie?
I'll pass it over to Jamie Paul in a moment, but essentially you got a lot of writing here to do a very simple thing, which is to take a little over $40,000 that was unspent in the 2022-2023 year over to the 2023-24 year. So it allows for the ATAX committee to be able to vote on that in a future distribution, then bring that back to city council. But so all it's doing is moving money from money that was spent in the previous year up to the current year. Did I get that mostly right, Jamie?
Mostly, yes.
Thank you.
So, in addition to, there was 2 requests for extensions, and those will be moved out and provided for at the end of this year. And any other further questions, I'm here.
All right, very good. Any questions for Jamie or Ms. Clifford? All right, any citizen comments? Okay, any council discussion? All right, here now, I'm gonna ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is approved. Thank you very much. Item 16, Finance, Resolution number 2026-09, approving the annual assessment report and amendment of the assessment roll for the Ballpark Village Municipal Improvement District and confirming the collection of annual assessments therein for the 2025-2026 assessment year. Do you have a motion to approve this resolution?
So
I'll move.
Mr. Buck, second, Mr. Freitas, thank you. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifton?
So this was discussed in depth at the study session, but I'll remind the council and for our citizens who are watching this evening, every year the City of North Augusta City Council is going to have to consider passing the Municipal Improvement District and assessments for that calendar year. And so ultimately, the mid was established as a floor for the minimum amount of taxes that were going to be and fees collected inside Riverside Village. And this is the first year, 2026, is the first year that the tax rolls inside Riverside Village will be above the mids. And so these mids are still assessed even when the tax rolls are above the midline. If, for example, something catastrophic happened and, the hotel burned down or, a building went down and couldn't provide taxes for that year until they rebuilt, you at least have a mid in there to recoup those fees and taxes in that year. But this will be the first year that we have not required any additional fees aside from the tax rolls that we've got, which is a good sign for the health of Riverside Village.
Very good. All right, any questions for Ms. Clifford? All right, are there any citizen comments? Are there any citizen comments? Okay, any council discussion? Okay, here now, I'm gonna ask for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 17, Parks and Recreation, Resolution number 2026-10, authorizing the City of North Augusta to accept the low bid from Wilson Associates Sports Turf for the Riverview Park Athletic Fields Annual Turf Program Services. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
All right, Mr. Buck, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Mr. Freitas, thank you. Anything you'd like to share about this, Ms. Clifford?
Mr. Mayor and Council, just as a reminder, this was a turf management contract that went out for bid. We had 4 bidders on this, so it's good when you have multiple bidders to get a good price. And so this is the low bid contract, and this is going to be funded by the general fund out of the current fiscal year budget.
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Clifford?
Quick question. So which fields are going to be used as?
I'll have to get you the full list of fields, but my understanding is it's the majority.
Okay, cool.
Any other questions? All right, any citizen comments? Yes, ma'am. Come on down.
Diane LaRue, 608 Railroad Avenue. At the risk of sounding petty, I'm going to ask for more aggressive upkeep of the restroom facilities on the Greenway and at Riverview, at Sharon Jones Amphitheater. During the holidays, those facilities were without toilet paper at all. And we had a lot of people in the area because it was a holiday. And we had ice skating down there. And it was, since we're trying to attract tourism, I'm just going to ask that we have a more aggressive approach to making sure facilities are upkept.
Very good. Do you have anything about this resolution, though?
No, no, no.
Okay.
It's just- Since it was under Parks and Recreation.
Okay. I hear you. Okay, I understand. All right, very good. Thank you. All right, any other citizen comments about this resolution? All right, any council discussion? Hearing none, I'm asked for a vote. All in favor? And that is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, and final thing, item 18 is nothing. This is really just receipt of information. But basically, now that we have passed those ordinances about the election, our city clerk will be able to do a general election filing deadline. So you'll have what do we call this?
This is the filing deadline. It goes in with the ordinance that you all just
Right.
approved and further dates out everything and publication, which is also embedded in the ordinance that you all approved as well, that this needs to be publicated no later than March 2nd.
That's where the citizens can find all this information
Yes, sir.
without having to read the whole ordinance. Very good. And that's just your receipt of information, nothing we need to do. Okay, at this time, we are going to go to administrative reports. I think we have one.
Ricky, if you'd put up the slides that we have. Next slide, please. Next slide. So I know our finance department and you as council members have been getting an awful lot of questions about billing as of late. So I wanted at least, and since we have a good crowd tonight, hopefully this will be good to get the word out. So the way that the city of North Augusta bills its water and its wastewater most recently was amended in 1989. And so what you have there is ordinance number 89-10, and it lays out essentially what the process is for us to assess the sewer fees. Every residence in the city of North Augusta has a water meter, so you can tell exactly how much water is flowing into a residence or a commercial business. You do not have a similar meter on the wastewater. So you basically use the same amount of water going into the house is the amount of water coming out of the house from a wastewater perspective. And so what you have there in writing in the ordinance is that they do this thing called winter-based billing or winter-based rate system, which takes 3 of the wintertime bills and averages out. So that's what you'll be billed for wastewater throughout the rest of the calendar year. The reason they do that is because many residents use, in other months, will use water to fill a swimming pool or to conduct watering activities on their lawn or any number of other things. So this is actually the cheapest and most beneficial for our citizens. It's not the easiest to manage, but it turns out to be cheaper for most folks to be able to have their winter-based billing. So again, we bill at the city, as water and the wastewater are billed at the same amount of usage, not at the same rate, but water usage is the same as the sewer usage as far as how much is going in and is going out. And so water is billed as a water meter reading, and sewer is based off of that inflow to the house. Next slide. So if you can follow along in my very rudimentary PowerPoint arrow here, start on the top, you've got the beginning of a month. So you got November, December, January through all the way to April. And so if you were in the month of November, you're going to receive your October bill, and right around the same time, you're going to have a water meter reading, which is going to feed the next bill, which happens in December. So you get your November bill in December. And where it starts to change and where you're starting to see an uptick in people having questions about their bills is in January. So you have the December bill is starting to be billed on actuals. So you had this much lower or potentially lower rate of water usage based on last year's water. But if you're using more water in this year, then your overall wastewater rate's going to go up. And so that's what you're seeing here in January for a number of our citizens, because it's billed on the actuals, the how much is actually going in to the residents, not what your prorated average was from the previous year. And so you're going to get actuals in January from your December bill. You'll get actuals in February for your January bill, and then all the way up through until April. And so in April, what you're going to get is the new average bill, and that's the bill that you're going to have through the end of the calendar year. So that's the way that the system is built in the ordinance, and that is what takes you through going forward. Next slide. So as we've been dealing with this, I know the council's been getting a number of questions. The number that we stood up because the utility billing is still in place. So anybody that has questions can certainly come down to the counter at the finance department. And as you recall, city council voted to add additional personnel to the finance department to be able to handle a number of different things. And then also we have someone who staffs the telephone line, and we're pretty good about getting a response in 24 to 48 hours at max for folks who are calling about their utility billing. So a number of folks have gone directly to city council to get their water bill adjudicated. I would just say that if you as council members, the first question you should ask is, have you been in contact with the finance department first? Because if they haven't, we're going to just run that to ground just like any other customer that would come into our shop and see what the issues with the water-based billing. And sometimes we're finding, or people are finding, they may have a leak in the system or maybe doing something that causes the water rate to be above average, and then they can have that discussion with the finance department and do that. So this is a long-standing practice since 1989. But this year in particular, we've had a high number of calls about the winter-based billing. So the city council can certainly choose to amend the way in which that is done, but I would recommend that you would have a much more in detail study session later in the year to do that.
The one question, suggestion I had a citizen bring to my attention, I thought it was a great idea. And if we're doing this, I apologize. But she just sent me her January 20th. She talks about, we have a whole section of important messages. It says late fees and service, so we have a good information right now. Is that something we could maybe consider as we get ready moving forward next year, that we put something on the bills prior to that important message, just so we can kind of, if we're doing it now for that, I think that might be a great idea. Unless we're already doing
Yes, we can absolutely do that. We can start doing that in October, and just to warn people that it's coming.
Just that bottom important
Yes.
message piece.
Mhm.
I think
Absolutely, we can
very
do that.
helpful. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Quick question. Had a couple of citizens that live in North Augusta for Edgefield water. Is there any difference in billing? That's a question that I'm getting.
Yes, so Edgefield County water residents do not get charged water rate or water fees on their bills, but we use that reading from Edgefield, which they send to us, to charge them for their sewer usage or sewer fees. So currently, we've got one reading in from Edgefield that we've billed with their reads, and we'll have two more. And then we will balance or average those out for the remainder of the 9 months.
So do we know if there was a increase of their charges?
Well, we can look back in their history from last year to see that, but their best bet is to call Edgefield County and get a list of their usage history.
Okay. Thank you.
Two questions for clarification. One is, do citizens have the opportunity to opt out of the winter billing?
No, it's per ordinance.
Commercial, any different for commercial?
Commercial is allowed to opt out of
Commercial,
winter-based.
commercial can use either their
Actuals or a winter-based.
but citizens are not.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I thought this was very helpful. Thank you for that. Helped me try to continue to figure it out in my own head. All right, we are item 20, presentation, communication, and recognition of visitors. At this time, citizens may speak to mayor and council regarding matters not listed on the agenda. Ms. Diane did a wonderful job. That's exactly what it was for. So thank you, but that's an example. So if there's something we need to be aware of, that's not on this agenda, this is a great opportunity for you to come on down. Yes, ma'am. And let me just say, even though we table, even if it's something we table because it was on the agenda, you can't talk about it. I mean, I don't know what you.
I'm not here to talk about anything.
Oh, good. Okay, perfect. Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, I saw it look coming up here. I said, all right, we got it.
No, my name is Tanya Strickland. I live at 2037 Riverside Plantation Road in Jackson, South Carolina. I'm a former employee of the city. I retired in 2024, and I was instrumental in building Brick Pond Park. I just wanted to talk about Brick Pond Park, and I may need to pull this in. Brick Pond Park was designed by a lot of people. A lot of people were involved, and I think you've mentioned the book.
Yeah. Tanya, I hate to do this to you.
Okay.
Because we had two resolutions because on the agenda, those parcels are centered around Brick Pond Park.
Okay.
If I allow you to talk about whatever part of Brick Pond Park, then I'm open up for everybody else. And because anything you say is going to be tied in with what we're voting, what we tabled, I'd rather you hold off
That's fine.
until the future.
That's
When
fine.
this comes off, that's okay.
Well, let me mention the book.
Yeah, thank you. That's great.
The book.
I've been trying to mention it.
This book is everything about the park that anybody needs to know and how it works, how the ecosystem works. And I would encourage anyone in the city that wants to understand more about the park to read the book.
We got 3,000 of them, and maybe 25, 30 have been taken. So I keep throwing the challenge out. I wish people would take it.
Well, I
Thank
hope
you.
everybody takes that opportunity.
Very good. Thank you, Tanya. Thank you, ma'am. All right. Any other any other citizen comments? Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see this young lady. She jumped. Come on, no, come on. You just jumped up so fast. I didn't.
Sorry. My name is Amber Fleechuk, and I live at 804 West Avenue.
Yep. Thank you.
And it's not as much of a comment as it is a question I have for the city council in regard to the general development of North Augusta. So if you would
Yeah, this is your time.
let me have a story. One of my first memories of living here is actually of a car wreck that happened outside of my house at 804 West Avenue. We just gotten home from my sister's birthday, and I was inside watching cartoons on the computer, anime, and I heard a crunch. This is a part of West Avenue, has a long history of don't park on the side of the street there because your car might get hit, all the way to an old woman got hit and killed, allegedly, told to me by a lot of people who lived there. And I've been seeing with the increasing development, especially around not this side of Hammond's Ferry, but the other side, where cars are parking along the sideways and making it effectively a one-way street, kind of akin to how they are at the top near that one church. And I simply haven't seen a bunch of news, spreading word, people actually following the don't parking signs, people getting ticketed for following the not parking signs. I see a lot of increased high traffic buildings coming to this specific region, including but not limited to the new ER, which will be a high traffic place that people are trying to get in and out of because it's a medical emergency. And I just wanted to know if there's anything we have as far as driving infrastructure, public transit, anything to lessen the load on our roads, to keep our citizens, our children, our senior citizens, and just everyone safe.
Can I ask clarification? Tell me, you said something about the other side of Hammond's Ferry. I'm trying to picture,
Yes.
I want to picture where you're telling me.
So this side, the brick pond, it has the baseball field,
Okay.
and then you go through it, you go through that residential area.
River Club? Oh, okay.
The colloquially the living part of Hammond's Ferry, you know,
Okay,
you've
yeah,
got the
yes, ma'am.
restaurants and everything.
okay.
And then it goes through to where the greenway is, the little bridge across the greenway, the bridge crosses over. That spot, if there's something going on down here, that's a one-way road, but that's not actually a one-way road. That's supposed to be a two-way road. So that's a huge issue for cars coming in and coming out. I've seen cars parked on that, from that bridge, almost all the way to the commerce section with Manuel's and the little shops there. And that's exactly what happened when I was a kid and there was that wreck. And I just don't want another kid to have one of their earliest memories of North Augusta be a bunch of people asking them if they got pictures of these cars that got destroyed.
I have not seen that myself, that line all the way from the trestle of the bridge, but we can definitely check. I'd like to get the views from Steve and HOA at Hammond's Ferry, because I'm sure that is something, I'm surprised they haven't brought that to our attention. So let me look into that. I don't, thank you for that. I mean, I've seen cars. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
When you first turn right, where Manuel's that is, but as far as all the way from that bridge down, I have not seen that at night.
Yeah, it's,
So that's good to know.
I've seen it once or twice, but I don't drive down there a lot because it gives me such anxiety trying to get out.
Right. What you may or may not know, we do, our only public transit is we do, Aiken County has the Best Friends Express. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's a bus that travels, and they have a pretty extensive network in North Augusta. So we can get you information. We have handouts about that, just so you can be aware of that in case you know anyone that needs that. But that is a great service. So that is extent of the transit. As far as anything else with the traffic, that's a really broad statement, because depending on what the project is, what you're talking about, there may be traffic studies that have to be done. So, you know, I can't tell you specifically, because that's a broad, depending on what the situation is. But there's no doubt you bring a good point. Traffic in North Augusta has increased. The reality is it's going to continue to increase because we're in a growing area.
Yep.
And it is definitely something I would think all of us on council realize, because we drive it too. But I'm very appreciative of you bringing that up, and I definitely want to look into that piece about Hammond's Ferry for you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Appreciate it, Amber. And I think somebody else is going to, yes, ma'am, come on down again.
Tanya Bonitatabas.
Yes, ma'am.
28. So two things real quickly. I just went back and looked. So I've served on all of the water planning councils on both sides of the river, upper, lower, for South Carolina and Georgia. And in 2024, actually it was on Valentine's Day. We were here, the Corps of Engineers made a presentation where they discussed 56,000 CFS as the trigger flow for North Augusta being underwater along Hammond's Ferry. I don't know how many of you were here at that time or heard that presentation, but I do think moving forward, particularly with Augusta Augusta is struggling to get money back from FEMA because of the canal, because of their failure to meet some of the CRM requirements over years. And I think that as you're moving forward and building that 56,000, I've heard the Corps tell North Augusta that many, many times. So I know it is something of record. That means that when we hit, not if, that amount of flow, what happens on the other side of that, you might not find the federal government as amenable to helping you mitigate. So I wanted to make sure that I brought that to your attention. The other is that we are now in drought level trigger 2 for the upper basin. And that is a huge thing for the lower basin. In fact, you can go look at the river today and there's not much in it, especially if you go below Lock and Dam. And that's just 2, not trigger 3. Hopefully we don't get to trigger 3, but I do, when we were working on the water planning councils in South Carolina, your drought level trigger, I think, is on 1,500 CFS, which is impossible. It cannot happen. Vogel would melt down at 1,500. We have to keep 3,100 CFS, which means that the drought triggers that you have on the books right now are need to be updated. So I would love to help in any way that I can at looking at that, but I do think, especially with your water rates and some of the having not updated them since 1986, that like there might need to be some mitigation strategies moving forward as we get to less and less water, because we're not getting more, except for in big spurts, which is again that 56,000. The last thing that I didn't say is we have a Veterans for Clean Water program, and we love to clean up trash. We want to partner with you. We want to help, right? We want to get citizens out. That's one thing we're great at. We cleaned about 20 tons of trash just last year, all out throughout the watershed. So use us. Like, let's be partners and make North Augusta the best that it can be. That's what we're here for. So thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Tanya.
Any other citizen comments? Yes, ma'am, come on down.
Amanda Acree, 1903 Burns. Question, it's going to be too broad for you to answer,
Okay.
but getting concerned, do love the hive thought. I know anything real estate near or interstate turns into apartments. How will we be able to keep up with apartments and more apartments and more apartments? I'll be honest, I moved from Richmond County to North Augusta because I felt it was a beginning of a single family resident hometown feel. I'm beginning to lose that. I'm beginning to see we got too much that's gonna just stress the whole infrastructure of our area. So I stop here to say, how can you give me some security that I'm going in the right way to keep putting money into my house?
Well, couple of questions. Thank you for sharing that. How long have you been in North Augusta?
Since 2013.
Great, very good. So we passed a moratorium last year to stop all new apartment buildings for about 2.5 years until we get to 2027, I think. So that's when we're going to update our comprehensive plan. So I think that action by council was very positive. Now, as far as the hive, that is not going to be just all apartments. That's a mixed use. With all these developers, you normally see the first things you see up are apartments because you put them up the easiest and get them the quickest. Yes. But anyway, so to answer your question, I think the moratorium we put is very good because I would tell you we were very concerned by a development that came in and quite frankly didn't have to come to us. It was within our code, and I think it was a wake up that, oh my goodness, we probably have other property. So that's one positive thing, okay? You know, as far as I think you have a council, as far as when I think about, I mean, apartments, I'm not against apartments and mixed use. So I think the moratorium is the main thing at this point. And that's something, quite frankly, to your point, is to me was a wake-up call. So when we start really looking at our comprehensive plan, that's going to help us a lot.
And let me digress on one other very more, I guess, isolated situation for our neighborhood, the Colony.
Oh, yeah.
That road has turned into the Indy 500 because if the kids can't get out at the red light, they say, and they tear through our neighborhood.
Sure.
I know a while back, maybe about almost 6 years ago, we talked about some calming devices. Not necessarily, you know what I mean when I say calming devices. They're the plastic ones that you can almost like link-a-log them together to discourage them from coming through. And actually, the bus driver for North Augusta is probably the worst criminal. She comes through there on two wheels.
You mean like speed bumps, basically?
I think I am.
Yeah.
And because I've actually stood out there and waited for her and told her, take it down some. I mean, she's hitting that.
Yeah.
She's hitting that manhole cover, and I'm expecting it to flip out of there one day. But anyway, if there could be a consideration, I know we are state route. But what could we do with, as our little community, what could we do to have some calming devices or something that we could put in there, even if we looked at HOA as our group supporting that?
Well, we actually did have a study session on that. And, that's one of those things that out of 100 people or 10 people, 5 are going to be in support of what you're saying. And then the next 5 are going to tell me why it's not, because we had that. We had a young lady in Knollwood that got up and talked about her concern about her son and a situation, and it was very compelling.
Yeah.
But the very next citizen came up, lived on the same street, and he was just as compelling about why it wasn't. The biggest issue for us right now, as far as the previous council, was we adhere to a lot of the recommendations from our chief, our public safety, because the biggest concern as far as the city has to do with our public safety with those speed bumps. I'm I think speed bumps make sense in a lot of places. I'm not against it. We just haven't been able to figure out how to do that. I know our administration put together a basic idea of if an HOA, if enough homeowners in a neighborhood would approve it. But I would tell you, we've had the same situation with neighbors in your own neighborhood. You know, you're going to have 20 people who believe like you, and I promise you, they're going to be people in your neighborhoods not. So that's been one of our biggest challenges. So I hear you, and I think it's a valid concern. And again, maybe that's something we can readdress down the road.
Yeah, because a calming device is not as tall as the speed bump.
Sure.
So that will just hurt mama's car. You know,
There
that
are,
you're
you're right, there's
driving.
all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there's 3D, it's amazing. But one thing, just, you opened up about the small town feel.
Yeah.
So just a couple things. Have you had a chance to come down to Third Thursday at all?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And you
I
ridden a
partic-
trolley?
Anytime I can support North
good.
Augusta, I support all the activities that they have because,
So the reason why
Yeah.
we have been focused on downtown, the trolley, Third Thursday,
Oh, yeah.
is if you look at other communities around, I don't care whether it's Charlotte, Greenville, or Washington, Georgia,
Uh-huh.
all the great communities, no matter how big, as long as you have a place that people can hang out at. And that's why we're continuing to focus on that.
Right.
So I do believe, I hear you, growth is coming, but I do believe as long as we continue to focus on things that make people have a place to hang out, which is what we're focusing on now, that will help with that.
Right, right.
So we are trying, I promise.
right. And if you go to Charlotte now, every neighborhood has a set of calming devices in it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Ms. Aker. Well, we are knocking it out of the park tonight. Who else we got? Yes, ma'am, come on. I can't see. I couldn't see you down there.
Tanya Strickland. I also wanted to mention while I was here, the Brick Pond Park Committee.
Yes.
Okay. The committee is working really hard to pull itself together. We have a very short membership, very small team, but we're trying to recruit more members for the Brick Pond Park Committee. We are planning our first event, and our first event is to be planned in April, hopefully April 18th. I've requested some information from the city, and I have yet to hear back. But for now, tentatively, it's going to be April 18th. And some of our committee members have made a lovely flyer, and I would like to leave the flyer for this event. And hopefully that day, we plan to have community members, community businesses to come down to the park. We set it up kind of like if anybody's been to Earth Day in North Augusta before, it's going to be set up very similar to that event that we used to have in the new city. And we hope to have education booths to teach more about what the parks are and some of the designs as we talked about. We want to also, maybe we're going to have food trucks. We've already got 2 commitments for that. And we want this to be our inaugural event where we introduce ourselves to the community and garner support from the community and maybe some members to join us in our endeavors. We've got some really interesting ideas. We kind of would like to pull together certain people from anglers to just people residents that live on the Hammonds Ferry side, residents that live throughout the community, and maybe put some committees together that we can work on some of the big issues in the park, which I wasn't quite through with mentioning, the pet waste, the bacterial problems that city has been dealing with. And all of that is something that we want to tackle as a committee. We've got some really big plans. We've got some really interesting ideas. We've put in for some grants. We're going to put in for more grants, and we're going to try to make Brick Pond Park all that it can be.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Very excited. Thank you, Tanya. Made my day.
Mayor, can you address where people can get the book? People are asking.
Just on the 3rd floor, if you come off the elevator, you can leave here. We have a box of them right now, don't we? We have a box of them. So if you when you leave here, if you go up the stairs and go around and go through on the left, there's a bunch of them on the table. But Jamie Paul, our city clerk, his office is right there. You can get them anytime you want. Thank you. All right. Any more citizen comments? Yes, ma'am. Come on. No reason to stop now. Make it happen.
Sharon Wells, 902 Fairlane Avenue. I don't know if you can answer this, but it's not the agenda, but it is a question. Can you explain what tabling means? And I know you said earlier that Mr. Hobbs went about things the right way, and I'm taking that to mean that some of us are not going by other things the right way. So how do we know what is the next step, and what does tabling mean, and how do we go about environmental studies and that kind of thing in the right way so that we're not here at the last minute?
Well, tabling is just where what we're saying as a council, and Kelly, you correct me on this, but basically we are saying that we're not going to be voting on something. And I'm trying to think, since I've been mayor of this council, this is probably the second time, maybe the third, that we have tabled something, and normally it has had to done often because we have needed to get more information, or something has transpired that has caused us to do that. So,
Well, yeah, that's basically right. Something that you might be interested in is that with it being tabled, it will not appear on an agenda again until either the mayor puts it on there or two council members request that it goes on the agenda. And so it would appear back on the agenda for vote by council, and the citizens would have notice that it was coming back up again if it came back up. So what I'm saying is, we couldn't come at the next meeting if it was not on the agenda and a council member moved to take it off the table. We established the rule a number of years ago that it would not stay on the agenda, because at one time, it used to stay on the agenda. And so if that be the case, those persons that were interested in that, they had to come to every meeting. It might not come off the table, but they had to come to make sure they were available to give their information. The way we have it now, that can't happen. It has to be back on the agenda, just like it was here, and that's done by the mayor instructing it to be put on there, or by two council members requesting that it be put on.
So if something else is happening that would also be brought to the agenda. Again, I'm trying not to talk about the exact things that are on the agenda, but like if there was a different proposal for something.
It would have to be a new agenda item that you would receive notice of.
thank you. Great question. Appreciate it. All right, any other citizen comments? All right. So now I've got ask Councilman Robert Freitas if you'd like to give us an update. He represents us on the. Have y'all come up with a name yet? The dog.
The Animal Shelter Committee.
Okay, Animal Shelter Committee. Okay.
So a quick update. The city was tasked with, asked by FONA to look at 3 different projects. One of them was to provide a space to separate or quarantine sick animals or puppies from the general dog population. The city's identified portable kennel pods that we think is going to be a good fit for that. And the vendor's been selected, and right now we're currently waiting, according to Captain Hayes, a sole source letter from the vendor, because there's not very many places where you can purchase these. And that way we can put in a request for those. The other improvement was a request for drainage improvements in the kennel area. Captain Hayes met with Director of Engineering and Public Works to review existing drainage blueprints and discuss improvement options. They did have a contractor come out and review the project scope. I do believe he got a bid. It was a lot higher than kind of what he was really expecting. So I know him and Chief, I think, want to try to have a conversation with us to kind of see where city is on that, where we want to go. The third was backyard improvements. A meeting was held with Superintendent of Property Maintenance to discuss potential options and define the scope of work. Captain Hayes said there was currently an open artificial turf installation bid going on in the city. I think that closed on the 29th. And so he's going to get with whoever was in charge of that bid to see who the winner was, so he can kind of get an idea in his head what that might cost per square foot to be able to look at turf installation for that project, as well as whether or not it might be feasible to, if it's okay with council, to maybe piggyback off of that current bid that they're currently working on. As far as the FONA-sponsored projects, one of the things that was requested was a new back door with window to let in natural light. Happy to say that door has been installed, and so now that project's been closed. And then ventilation system improvements is another thing that FONA has been working on. I know they had, I think it was Busby's come out and give a quote, and right now, I think Public Works is looking at the design of what their proposal is to see if it's something that fits in with the city building. Lastly, the Animal Shelter Committee update. The committee recently added 2 new members, Catherine Martin and Mary Pettit, bringing the total membership of that committee to 5. The committee has been focused over the last 2 months, really, with a lot of time off because of the holidays and whatnot. They've been putting in a lot of foundational organizational work, including things like establishing a clear purpose, developing mission and vision statements, and drafting bylaws for the governance of the structure of the operation procedures. I think their next plan is to begin working on a feasibility study to kind of determine what size or how large or how small of a shelter that we really need. The feasibility plan, they're also going to be looking at, I know we don't currently take in cats, but they're going to include cats in that, because if they are doing a rescue shelter, they want to have both dogs and cats available for adoption out. And then the last thing that we've been working on, we kind of went through, I know the consultant made some recommendations to the animal control ordinance. We've gone through that, myself, Chief, and Captain Hayes, and that's been presented to Mr. Zier. And so he expects maybe another week or so with his review, and then we may get some answers back on that. So that's my update.
Fantastic. Great job, committee, not committee, Animal Shelter Group. Fantastic. Great job. Okay. Okay, we are, our next regular study session will be February 23rd. And we are going to be having a special call council meeting next Monday, February 9th. That will allow us to go into executive session to discuss potential economic development at Riverside Village. We will not be coming back into session. Jamie will send that out publicly, whatever that looks like. But as far as the next opportunity for citizens that we'll be having discussion will be our next regular study session will be February 23rd. So thank you all for coming tonight, and everything you've said and asked is a great meeting. We stand adjourned. Thank you.